This video will look at Communication Technology Lesson 6, Researching and Representing an Issue. So this is the final lesson of the Communication Technology unit, and in this lesson, you'll actually be creating your own infographic related to the topic of technology. So this will be a major assignment in the same way that the feature article was a major assignment, in the same way that the photo essay was a major assignment. So the lesson starts off with doing some brainstorming. So you're asked to brainstorm about the characteristics of infographics. So again, we did this with the feature article, and we did this with the photo essay. The purpose of this is to get you to think about the form before you start putting your infographic together. So you will post this as process journal entry 11, and for this entry, you can just write it down as bullet points. So bullet points for the different characteristics of an infographic. So for example, one bullet point might be that they use visuals to communicate information. One bullet point might be they use quite a few statistics in an infographic. So you're just coming up with a list of characteristics like we did for the feature article and like we did for the photo essay. So after that process journal entry is done, your next step is to develop a topic. And your topic can be an idea about technology that we didn't look at in any of the lessons, or it could be a topic that we did explore in the lessons, such as the digital divide or the democratization of information, that you want to look at in a little bit more depth with your infographic. So it's either a topic that we didn't look at in the lessons or a topic that we did look at in the lessons, but it has to be connected to the idea of technology. And you get a list here in the lesson, so possible topics include but are not limited to. So you can choose one of these topics for your infographic, but you do not have to, as long as it's related to technology. So part 3 just explains the type of research you're going to be doing for the infographic. So infographics essentially try to make an argument through the use of visuals and through the use of statistics. So when you're going out and doing research and looking for information, the information that's the most important is statistics. Part 4 we're familiar with. Like with the feature article and the photo essay, you're going to plan your communication variables before you start putting the infographic together. So we know the form is an infographic. You want to think about what is the central idea of your infographic, what is the purpose of your infographic, who is the target audience, so who are you hoping sees this infographic, and in what context will your infographic appear? Okay, will it appear on a blog? Will it be published in a magazine? Will it be turned into a poster and posted in classrooms or government buildings? Okay, so what context? Where is the audience going to experience your infographic? And again, this is another process journal entry. So for this, you'll create process journal entry 12, communication variables, and you'll post in your process journal. So just a list: central idea, form, audience, purpose, and context in your process journal. And that will be the final process journal in the unit. So you develop or you do some brainstorming about the form of an infographic, what exactly an infographic is. You pick a topic, something that you want to explore for your infographic, and then you do some research. And again, we're looking for statistics with the research that you're doing. So the last two steps involve just putting the infographic together and then reflecting on the infographic. So part of the assignment is learning how to use a new Web 2.0 tool to create an infographic, but I'm giving you a couple different tools that you can use here. The one that I recommend is this Piktochart here. So it's free to use. You can access it from school or from home as long as you have an internet connection. And it is an account based site, so you have to sign up for an account. You can just use your lrsd.net school account when you're signing up. So again, part of the assignment is learning how to use a new piece of software. Okay, and if you're working at ATC, I can work with you in class to help figure this program out. If you're working at home, there are many tutorials available on YouTube that just show you how to create an infographic using Piktochart. Okay, so Piktochart is what I recommend, but you can use really any tool that you want to create your infographic. But I have tried a few, and the one that I found to be really the best was this Piktochart. So we'll go back to the lesson here. After you put your infographic together, there is a reflecting question, and it's the same reflecting question as the feature article and the photo essay. You have to identify and explain the specific connections among the writing variables. So you had already identified the writing variables or the communication variables before you put the infographic together, because it's important to have those in mind, sort of what you're aiming for as you're putting your piece together. And you'll just have the last, or the reflecting question, to again identify the communication variables and explain how they all work together. So look at the rubric on the last page, and the value is 20 marks. 10 marks based on the visual representation of the data, 5 marks on your research, and then 5 marks on the reflecting ideas question. So it's a total of 20 marks. So just to give you some perspective on that, the photo essay was worth 25 marks, and the feature article was worth 30 marks. So not weighted quite as heavily as those assignments, but sort of in the same category as those two other assignments. So this is the end of the lesson, but I encourage you to go onto YouTube and look at tutorials on how to use Piktochart.